What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Yes, I know it has been 5 days since I did have my previous video update. As you guys know, I have been traveling, but this boring sideways action that we've been having ever since we put in this potential bottom right back here could actually be coming to an end very, very soon. In fact, I believe that we are going to have a very large move by the end of this week. Now, I do have a warning that I want to put out. There could, in fact, be a fake out, and I'm going to show you exactly why that is possible. But there is something very, very big that could happen as soon as November. And if this does in fact happen, and it's not something that a lot of people are talking about, it could actually be very, very positive for Bitcoin. It could actually be the beginning of Bitcoin starting to decouple from stocks. Now, you can see right here, we had spoke about volatility. And if we actually zoom into the chart, if you look at this wick that we actually had right here, it does look as if we started to potentially have that breakdown. A lot of people thought right here, this was the move. We were going to fall to the downside, but that instantly got bought back up, right? So the fact that we came down here and then instantly got bought back up and are in the same range again could be signaling to us that the bulls are attempting to push Bitcoin to the upside. Now, I don't want to get too excited too soon, but it is something that we need to talk about. And obviously, guys, I'm not in the video right now. I'm not in my studio, so I just wanted to make this update for you super quick. Hopefully, you guys don't mind just looking at the screen, but let's dive in. Let's have a look. Lots of things to go over. If you're not subscribed, definitely get subscribed because I think we're going to have a very good opportunity for a lot of trades coming up very, very soon. As I said, I think this boring consolidation, for the better or the worse, is going to end very soon. Now, the one thing that I do want to point out is we do continue to get supported right here on the bottom of this level, right? And if I just take all the drawings away again, you can see the significance of holding this 89 EMA as support. That level is sitting at around $18,265, and literally every single time for the past 5 months that Bitcoin has attempted to fall below this level, it has sprung back and provided an excellent opportunity for buying, accumulating, and if you're longing, that has been the level. I mean, literally, if you just put your longs down at this level, pretty much every single time for the past 5 months, you would be in a winning trade, essentially. And this has been working for us now for 5 months. Now, will this be coming to an end soon? That's what I want to talk about. And as you guys know, if you do want to learn how to trade, make sure that you guys check out the tutorial popping up right here. You guys can get $16,000 worth of bonuses if you're interested. But talking about why I believe that we are due for a massive move is, there's a few reasons. This is the first reason. Number one is we have these Bollinger Bands, right? Now, basically, in a nutshell, just kind of explain it like to a 5-year-old, the tighter these levels get, in other words, the closer that, this green line gets to this green line, that means that we are most likely due for a violent move. And you can see back here, when we have these really long, slow consolidations and the Bollinger Bands are like right here, for example, looking like they want to touch, what happened? We went from 9,000 all the way up to $12,000 in this little move. This right here, forget about it. That was literally the start of the massive bull run. And if we come over here and have a look at what we're doing, we're also very, very, very close. Obviously, if we zoom in, it gets a little bit bigger, but we are definitely due for a massive volatile move. Now, there are some key levels that we have to pay attention to. The first one, we actually have broken through this on this linear scale, right? Now, obviously, the log scale is arguably the most important, right? And you can see if that's the case, we have a lot more to go. But if I do take that back and put it in linear, you can see that we are, in fact, having a green candle right there. Now, the only issue with this is that this yellow line right here, if we drag it all the way back, this represents the previous all-time high. Remember, it was just under $20,000. So zooming over here, that is a bit of an issue that we're not able to break above this. You could see for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks so far, Bitcoin cannot get above this level. That is not good. We want to get above this resistance because, obviously if we can't, then eventually what'll happen is you will end up coming down to some of these next levels. The next level is around 16,100. I'm not saying we're going to go there, but this is an issue that we do have to pay attention to. If we have a look right here, the stars are ultimately aligning, and you can see that the confluence of this downward sloping trend right here, even in this falling wedge pattern, is still holding us down, right? And you could see we are back in the blue zone. So there's not a lot of area for Bitcoin left to go. I mean, if I zoom in right here, you guys could see, I mean, I suppose we could just, continue maybe to just do something like this and just keep going. But most likely that is not going to happen based on what I'm seeing in the Bollinger Bands and also based on this chart pattern right here. This is what everyone is looking at. Everyone is looking at this descending triangle. And the reason that this is scaring people is because, like Matthew Hyland pointed out, this is exactly what we did back in 2018 when we started to consolidate and eventually we broke to the downside. He also points out the fact that the 3-day RSI is doing something very similar, right? Will history actually play out again? I don't know. I'm not a crystal ball reader, but I can tell you this. A lot of people are expecting for this market to break to the downside. The majority of people out there are bearish, saying that it is going to break to the downside. Now, I can tell you from my experience, very oftentimes when everyone is expecting something and everyone is saying it's going to happen, it usually does not happen. It usually does the opposite, right? Back here in 2018, when we fell through this level, we actually had a 50% crash for Bitcoin in less than a week. Now, if we look at where the price is today, a 50% crash from these levels could possibly take Bitcoin down to $10,000. Now, is that actually going to happen? Well, in all sincerity, I don't know, guys. This pattern right here statistically has a 54% chance of breaking to the downside. So it's not actually as bearish of a pattern as some people say. You hear a lot of analysts saying, oh, it's a descending triangle. It's definitely going to break to the downside. Really, it only does that about 54% of the time. So it's a very slight bias to the downside. Now, something that actually could end up happening is we could have a bit of a fake out, right? If we do end up having this fall to the downside, and you can even argue that, maybe this right here, this little wick that we had down here was scaring people thinking that we were going to do it, and we never did, right? We came back in. Every time we fall below this level, you can see we instantly get bought back up, right? You guys can see that. We instantly get bought back up every single time, right here, for example. Little wick down here, right? Same thing here, instantly bought back up, bought back up. This was sort of a slow climb, nice wick, bought back up. Same thing right here, bought back up, right? So you can see, guys, we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a week. 7 days left in this pattern, and we are going to have a big, big move. Now, is it possible that we do have a fake out to the downside? Everybody's like, okay, everybody starts piling on their shorts. I knew it was going to do this. I knew we were going to have the breakdown, and then fake out, bounce to the upside, and everybody gets caught off guard. Well, there is something that I think is going to be potentially massive for the Bitcoin space. Now, this is happening sometime in November. It's not 100% confirmed just yet, but if it does happen, it could be finally what we need to see that decoupling of Bitcoin and stocks. And I'm going to get to that in just a bit, so make sure that you stick around to the end of this video. But having a look once again with Bitcoin right here, we are sitting still below this $19,450 level. And this has been a very critical level right here. You could see all of the times that we have interacted with this level on the chart. Very, very important. I do believe that if we can break above this and break out of this downwards trend, right? Break out of this downwards trend right here, I honestly think we will probably slice through this like butter. I think it's been consolidating for so long that literally the move probably would just take us all the way up here, 15% move to about $22,473. And you can see why that is, because of this significant area right here where we had this resistance, support actually a little bit back here. And of course, right here, when we actually called this, we called this move perfectly. If you guys remember, it was a fake out, but nevertheless, I do think we would have pretty much a move straight up to that level. I think we would just slice through all these levels like butter, just simply because we've been consolidating for so long, right? But then again, is there that possibility that we have the fake out first? It is possible, but here is the positive news. Now, obviously, the DXY is continuing. It doesn't look like it's trying to slow down. A little bit of consolidation up here, right? But there is a lot of market assumption, or at least people are rumoring, that maybe the Fed will start to change their tune. Now, in all complete honesty, based on the data that we saw, based on the CPI numbers, and based on the unemployment numbers, it doesn't really look like the Fed has a reason to start pivoting soon. But we did talk about in our video, if you guys remember, and I'm not going to get back into it, that, the UN, they were very upset with pretty much what we're doing in the US, because by us raising the rates so fast, so high, we're actually devaluing all of these other currencies. And honestly, some of these smaller third world countries that do still try to attempt to use the dollar or compare their local currencies to the dollar, they're getting absolutely hammered, right? Now, there are people saying that we are going to have that capitulation wick like we had back in 2018, and we are going to have the 50% crash. But the thing is when you're looking for this capitulation, I would genuinely argue that we have already had most of that capitulation. We saw Three Arrows Capital. We saw Terra Luna. We saw what happened with Voyager and Celsius. And just look at this paragraph right here. Sunny Agarwal has vivid memories of some of the worst days of his life earlier this year. The blockchain co-founder and his Osmosis protocol were hit hard by Terra Luna collapse and are still recovering from its fallout today. He said the Terra Luna crash hit us incredibly hard because we were one of the biggest dexes for providing liquidity to the Terra USD and the Luna Classic. At one point, it made up over 50%. So I would actually argue that the majority of the capitulation has already been seen. We've seen these guys going bankrupt. We've seen these guys losing money. We've seen them getting liquidated. This has happened. And I believe that is why we could have seen that potential bottom at that $17,000 low that we had hit. Honestly, at this point, it's almost 5 months ago, right? So what is this big thing that can happen? Well, if you saw this recent interview with Kevin O'Leary, he talks about the Stablecoin Transparency Act. This is something that he says could be passed very easily. It's not a complicated act at all, and it could be happening as soon as November. So I'm going to play this clip for you right now and show you why this could actually be insanely positive for the crypto space. And even though it involves stablecoins, he goes into why it could be absolutely massive for Bitcoin.
Let me suggest a different reason to start going long Bitcoin, which has nothing to do with foreign currencies, but a lot to do with policy in the United States. There's two bills floating around, but let's talk about the one that has the chance of actually getting passed in the US after November 8th, which is the midterm elections. It almost went to markup last week. It's called the Stablecoin Transparency Act. Now, this has nothing to do with Bitcoin, but it has a lot to do with the tone of regulation. And the reason I think it's interesting is they're trying to solve for the challenges that occurred in these collapses of stablecoins that were built around algorithms. 62 billion got erased. The regulators got upset about that, although the majority of that capital, because it was decentralized, was in other countries. But this act is very simple in nature, which is why it may pass. It's being supported by both parties. And the reason that's the case is that it makes effectively the US dollar the default payment system worldwide, which everybody can get behind. So if you have USDC or any other stablecoin that's backed by the dollar, and the test to get it regulated is very simple. You're going to get audited every 30 days. It has to be backed up 1-to-1 with a dollar or a treasury bill. All the treasury bills backing the coin or the token have to have a duration of less than 12 months. And if you're willing to go through that scrutiny, they'll issue you a license. Now, if that were to happen, and it may happen very quickly after November 8th if the House flips, and that's the anticipation is House flips, nobody knows what's going to happen in the Senate, that's a coin toss. But even though it has nothing to do with Bitcoin, that'll be the first regulation passed by US regulators. And I would argue you want to be long Bitcoin going into that outcome. So if you own stable coins, you're going to see a lot of interest in institutional capital coming into, let's say, USDC and Circle. Circle, by the way, took in $200 million from Fidelity and $200 million from BlackRock a few weeks ago in a Series F at a $9 billion valuation. They got $54 billion of coin. So end of the day, regulation comes, Bitcoin goes up. And I agree with your thesis that it's a good asset to have if you're in a country where your currency is collapsing. But if institutions smell policy, then you've got a real move up. And that's when you break out of this $19,000 to $22,000 trading range against the US dollar. I think it goes right through that very quickly.
And although people think that right now, there's no demand for cryptocurrency, well, I can tell you that there is. You could see right here, MasterCard to address right here, pent up demand. by offering banks an easy way into crypto. So down here, they say that this program is going to offer a turnkey solution for banks to meet the crypto trading demands of customers. MasterCard will handle the regulatory compliance and security. Two core reasons banks cite for avoiding the asset class. So you had the chief digital officer, John Lambert. He said that negative press with volatility and hacks and high-profile CeFi bankruptcies have people very wary of investing in cryptocurrency. But citing a recent poll, you could see right here, 60% of the respondents said that they would prefer to test the waters via their existing bank. He said the program would address this pent-up demand. There's a lot of consumers out there that are really interested in this, meaning crypto, and intrigued, but would feel a lot more confident if those services were offered by their financial institutions. So there is no cite for a ban or, getting rid of crypto. What you're seeing is potentially that regulation. And although regulation is, bad if you're a libertarian, the reality is that a lot of people are very scared still to invest in crypto. They hear about these hacks, they hear about these scams, they hear about people losing their keys, forgetting or losing their keys and losing their coins, right? Not your keys, not your coins. But also, if it is your keys and you lose your keys, then I guess also not your coins, right? So this is absolutely massive, and they're doing this because there is a demand for it. They're not just rolling this out to roll this out. They are actually having their clients come to them and demanding an access to cryptocurrency using traditional vehicles in which they feel are a lot more safer, right? So these are just massive things happening in the background. And I can tell you that these boring sideways consolidations, as much as I hate them as the rest of you, they are excellent opportunities long-term for accumulation. And generally speaking, there is a volatile move following it. So could we actually have, that breakout to the downside? Well, we are getting ready for the move, guys. We're going to break and, see one of these big widening of the bands, either to the upside or to the downside. I would not be surprised, though, if potentially there was a fake out. I'm not saying there will be, but I'm saying if there was a fake out, we came down to this level, flash crash to 16,000. I wouldn't be surprised if then that was finally it and we did continue to the upside. Now, I still do stand that this is the bottom for now. It has been the bottom for months. Will it remain the bottom? Time will tell, but we are due for a big move. I do believe it's happening by the end of this week. And even if we do get a fake out to the downside, I do believe, as I showed you in this video, that if they do pass this act, it's going to create a lot of confidence for investors. And then also having vehicles like this through MasterCard to allow banks an easy way to access crypto. This really could be the dominoes being ready to fall for Bitcoin. So I just wanted to give you guys this super quick update today. Also, Kanye West, he was caught wearing a Satoshi Nakamoto hat. They said that's just days after JP Morgan canceled his bank account, with West complaining, I put $140 million into JP Morgan and they treated me like... Yeah, you guys can read the word right there. I don't want to get demonetized. So that is it for me, guys. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Sorry I'm not in the video today. I will try to get things back to normal. I'm probably going to be doing some... studio updates and stuff like that, switching things around. We may have to do a few videos like this in the meantime, but that is it for me. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like. It helps other people to find this video. It lets YouTube know that you enjoyed it. And of course, if you do want to trade, make sure you check out the videos popping up right here, right now. And that's it for me, guys. So until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.